Mightiest conservative went dead earless. When you get elected to any office, you go through classes.
Yeah, toward the, well, Leslie gave up temporary, and I mean, permanent for that one.
Well, here's your delegate testimony. They're doing this all over here now, so we gotta, how are we gonna do that?
1 through 13, 14 through 26, 27 through 34. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it is. Oh, I told the lady, okay, 1 through 12, 14 through
30 and 31. I don't know why
all the craziness we see. Things in the Corpus area.
I'm on the wrong side.
Holding up.
It's interesting how you get involved only in your own property. Sometimes I say, I'm not going to the executive committee anymore because I'm the black sheep.
That's all I
I
need to be.
program the most sophisticated air defense systems in the world. And I find out
Of course, now we got all.
across the room, pick it up, and continue using it. It's a combat grade.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I used to actually. Oh, wow. That's
I only bring one.
Good to see you.
and that was the first time I ever did. I used to flip.
Morning, everybody.
It was fantastic.
Really fast for the members of the Rules Committee, in case you do not know how we're doing the seating to make life easy, especially since we have no name tags. Right here is seat 1, so SD1, SD2, SD3, that's SD6. Down there would be SD12. That would be SD13. Okay, so the back left corner where Naomi is SD25. Okay, so that's on the Rules Committee. I was trying not to yell at you, sorry. But anyway, so if you don't know where you're going to be, just raise your hand. I'll help you find your spot. But that, since we don't have name tags, it makes it a little bit easier to know where everybody's at.
demands my pronoun at home. It's Madison.
Let me get started.
That's fine. Yes. Brandon, good to meet you. No, just we're going in order right now.
Don't worry, I'll lay
so
down
we get
suppressive fire.
Tables maybe arranged better.
I will lay down suppressive fire to give you
Well-
enough time to bring yours into play.
Sure, I'd be
Well,
thrilled
you
to
would
have
be at the end. So yeah, but we're trying to get that worked out. Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine. Hey there. Hang on 1 second. Everybody, this is Mark Ramsey. For those of you that don't know me, I'll call this meeting to order, but I'm going to immediately stand at ease while we get the computer stuff hooked up and all the other kind of things sorted out. So we'll stand at ease for just a few minutes getting all that done. Thank you.
I got 39 rounds. Good. It takes more than that. We're not in a defensive situation like a war.
Here, if you go behind you, if you're willing to do that, I have one. You can plug it on.
Sign-in sheet. Looks like.
We're substantially more technologically advanced than we were. They charge $79.99 per day per device for institution. I'm sorry.
So what do you speak of?
I'm just yelling at them, training out loud.
But I primarily, I speak on several things, but and then we're speaking on stop sexualized infections and issues involving sexualized
Yeah, we raised.
it's gotten, I have so many updates on.
Now, do you also delve into do you delve into anti-trafficking and stuff like that as well, or just?
There's it intersects
Yeah.
for sure. So I think in the next session we'll see more trafficking legislation.
Because here's what everybody is not seeing. All this controversy about the drag queen story hours. You know what's really going on in drag queen story hours? They've always got all these photographers, news photographers. Oh, it's such a progressive thing, But they're also doing taking pictures of all these children, building catalogs. They're building catalogs for the pedos. And because everybody signs in, they sign in with their name, their kids, their address, their phone, their email, their phone numbers, all that information parents write down because they want to so be progressive. And they're basically putting their kids in pedophile catalogs and don't know it.
I hope we can achieve it. I just don't know. Go
Breaking down that boundary.
Well, see, what people are only really noticing this in the last few years. I've been noticing it since the 1960s. What's been going on is the minute you start having kids purple dinosaurs and all kinds of stuff like that, you're now indoctrinating them to embrace the absurd. And once you get people to embrace absurdity, then you can sexualize them, then you can mold them into any shape you want, because something that's absurd like communism or fascism or homosexuality or transgenderism, those are all absurdities.
Children naturally, it's like children become insatiable.
This is the chair laptop, right?
We're Messianic Jews. We celebrate Christmas with the Christian family, and we celebrate Hanukkah with our Jewish friends because any excuse for a party. and you know the Christmas traditions and all that have their hearts in the right place, even if they're sometimes some are mistaken. Some of our Hanukkah traditions are mistaken. did was, we actually explained to kids that there's this tradition called the Tooth Fairy, and we want to introduce you to the two tooth fairies, Mom and Dad. And so you're not going to be deprived. You can put your teeth under the pillow and get coins, but and you can pretend the Tooth Fairy came in, but the fact of the matter is, Mom and Dad are the Tooth Fairies. We're also Santa Claus. We are all the mythical heroes you love. It's a margarita cup that fits in the car holder. They're sounding strong at so many levels.
What SD are you? So you're going to be in that middle spot right there. Well, I really do have good vision. Like I can read Monday, May 20th without it, but I used to have really good vision.
Okay, YouTube's working on it, but eventually, it's probably not even an issue today, but eventually you're going to be able to, when people are here and we can't get enough self-service, you'll be able to fall back to that and allow your members to join.
I'm trying to get on my own.
Where's the vodka?
But you know, that's a regular occurrence.
Oh, I remember you. You look so much better.
that just a hotspot?
Because it's cutting it off down there.
Yeah, for $80 a day.
I put it in. I'm glad that this stuff. Which one did he came and said no, he said, that was behind me. I'm like, yeah, you got this.
Hey, what's the name of the So you're looking which one? There's two. Well, yeah. Well, you took it off the bottom of the graph.
Let's shoot myself.
There's exhibitor internet. Cellular. It's not live. Exhibitor internet. No, not live.
Oh, yeah, that's, no, 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 dude, no, it doesn't.
This thing is kind of weird. You know, it's touchpad. It says combat gloves, so it's not. Doesn't respond to light touch. You gotta push down to do it. That's kind of weird.
It's connected, not connected without password.
But it has a touch. Touch screen
On the
is kind of
exhibitor.
nice.
Now it's still trying to connect.
I can say it's
Oh, it's not connected yet?
Are you calling something activated? Yes.
That's going to worry about anything.
Told me it was set up.
Well, it's coming.
Be happy about it.
But it's great. It's great. It's a great demo.
We have a stated the
Everything on this is gasket sealed.
I'm tethered right now.
I've been getting a lot too. And they all say like 4 or 5
We're staying at the Marriott, so I'm not staying at the Marriott too. We have a house here, and we're gonna stay there. Except my dog is almost 6 years old. So at the Marriott, so my husband's dropping me off. For the committee, and then we'll move it to the hotel.
Okay, never mind.
There's something
When
you
it
might
works,
find
what it's
fascinating
not
study
really like, oh, right,
I
I
recommend
recommend rent to the house.
called JewishPartisans.org. And it's basically the untold story of the Holocaust, the thousands of Jewish partisan groups that did sabotage uprisings
And that's a
and actually fought and
Hey, I want
sniped.
to tap into this one that's available.
Yeah, members, I just sent a picture through the Signal channel that has the router information on it with the password. It's only for member use, it's not for general public, but you should be getting that if you haven't already. In order to log into Wi-Fi, they're still working the issue of the Wi-Fi being connected to the internet.
Except the final battle is the Panzer Kampfwagen II. That is
Don't log into it. If you're tethered,
really
unless you lost your tether.
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting. What did you say? It's called Defiance?
Defiance. 1980. I 2024, I think. 2024, 2024.
Did you email or signal?
Paul Roberts, I played James Bond.
Did he say regular email?
Tubia Bielski.
Okay, I'm in the signal and
was the
I
head
don't
of
see
the
the,
Bielski brothers.
it's not here.
Did he put it on this?
Basically, when the Germans invaded Belarus, the Polish army collapsed.
Just have to download it.
Tubia was an officer of the Polish army. He went and enlisted in the Polish army in Belarus. And when the Polish army collapsed, he worked his way back home to find his family dead, his sisters all murdered and strangled and raped. I mean, they got to like this day after the Nazis had their way with it. You know, both his grandparents were still laying out in the barnyard, executed, and headshots. And his parents were executed, and his sisters were strangled and raped. And couldn't find his brother. Well, he found his little brother hiding in the corn crib. He was still there. Potato crib, excuse me. He was still there. The kid didn't speak until the 50s because he witnessed the whole thing through the slap of the potato crib. And the child was 12 years old at the time.
Oh, I'm gonna
So
see everything
traumatized,
he
he
said.
literally was not able to speak until sometime in the early 1950s. And
No, I know. You signaled.
Timmy's brother Zus and Achial
Oh, that's because it was sending out to
they were kind of cut up bad boys in the neighborhood. You know, everybody liked them, but you know, they were always in trouble. They were a little bit of troublemakers, but they knew how to work the woods. So they grabbed up all the people they knew were Jewish. Got this guy to get them one revolver with 4 bullets in it. And they took off into the woods. They put little temporary charges in the woods. And then they started thinking about
Well,
the first thing they did is they went into the police chiefs who oversaw the murder of his family. They walked into their house at dinner time, walks right up that 4-shot revolver, shoots the father in the head, kills him, shoots the son in the head, and kills him because we now have Nazi enclaves in Belarus. Shoots them both, and then the other son comes in and shoots him in the head, and kills all 3 of the boys, all 3 of the men. The wife is screaming out, kill me too, don't leave me alone. And he says, I only have 1 bullet left, or I might need it. Brutal.
I have nothing.
The interview. And it deals with everything from their raiding the ghetto of Novietsky
we did.
broke out escape, 80 escaped, 35 lived.
That's what I have. So I did this one. I'm assuming you send a picture of this and then you did that password. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And these old people let them die. And you've executed the leader right on the spot. Just someone just their head.
That's all it really is. It's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you seen that? It's really good. I'll have to look for that. There was another walking with the enemy, which is about the group of. They murdered a couple of Nazi officers, took their clothing, impersonated Nazi officers, they speak German, and proceeded. They were rescuing Jews and smuggling them to the Swiss embassy to get them out of Hungary. But they showed all the atrocities, like they would take 3 women, 2 women and a man, handcuff them together and push them into the river. The first one to drown would drag the other two down. And they would just arrow cross towards the Hungarian would scream and cheer and yell and laugh. It was awful. But yeah, the Bielski brothers say 12. Schindler was saying 200. Schindler's famous. The Bielski brothers were in obscurity. After the war, Akio got grabbed in the Soviet army and died in an assault on Berlin and got impressed in the Soviet Army, and he died in the final assault on Poland. This survived the war, went to Israel, found it a little too hard. In early Israel, they were living in grass huts.
I'm sorry, I can't do hands.
They had the worst land and all that.
After that whole.
So they went to New York and started a trucking company, and they lived out their lives doing
These ceilings are just regular.
I've seen pictures, there's like 10,000 people now alive because those can say in Belarus. It's a great story. There's a book called The Whiskey Brothers. The book is authoritative.
So yeah, his name's Ed.
And
I'll send you his phone.
actually, the History Channel did a documentary on the Whiskey Brothers, which is also based on a book. Tomorrow I'm bringing a movie takes a lot of Hollywood license. But like the escape through the swamp, they actually escaped through a swamp. So the German mechanized troops were chasing them. And they literally keep drowning. They actually, the men all took off their belts. They belted each other together. Oh, there you are. There's the ropes, shoelaces, and belts and all that. They marched long lines, marched through the swamp. And someone would go under, the other would just grab the lines and pull them out. Yeah, there were no crocodiles in Belarus.
No, I know, but I'm just saying they weren't even like several thousand Japanese soldiers.
Oh boy. Yeah, I saw his pictures.
I never
They
specialized in
look pretty bad.
Yeah. World War II history was always fascinating to me. You know, there's whole the Battle of Midway. Probably the most authoritative book is about that thick. It's called Incredible Victory. And that goes all the way from chapter on the code breakers, chapter on the chapter on the chapter on the composition of the fleet. And but the thing I noticed about that book, he didn't shy away from the providential aspects. He didn't call them that. But he just pointed out that, for example, the Japanese actually found the American carrier force 4 hours earlier than, but they couldn't do
had a
anything
video
about it because the Tonei's float planes radio operators screwed up, had the wrong frequency, they tuned the radio, they blew the finals out of his radio. There were two radios that had so excited that they found it. He got the wrong frequency, and when he hit the transmit, it burned out the tubes. So they had no radio. They had to fly back another 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So they were 2 hours out, 2 hours back to say that they had they found the American fleet. So the Japanese found out about the American fleet hours later than they should have. And they only saw Yorktown because out of nowhere, 2 squadrons popped up. One covered the Hornet and one covered the Enterprise. They only saw Yorktown. There's just one American carrier. So they never knew about the other 2. So over and over that kept happening. Magic rainstorms, magic fogs. It's, the providential history of World War II is very worthy of theological study as well as historical.
We'll visit more when you guys, if they ever let you have a break.
Your name one more time? Hayden Mattingly, okay. Okay. It says no internet still. Are you seeing this?
Alright, I figured it out. Someone figured it out for me.
Oh, hey,
Call
baby.
out the letters to you.
You found us. Oh, I did too. I came in and went that way. Well, wait, there's one. Where's the rest of it? And when I got to the end, I said, thank God I'm in a scooter. Didn't have to do all that walking. But look, I got all set
Ready? I'm
up.
going to call it out slowly. H.
No, because we can't get internet. Yeah.
W.
It's wrapped around my chair.
Dallas is going to be out of 2 years because they're tearing down their perfectly good
Y is in Yankee. A is in Alpha. S is in
all of. Did I have shot?
I went to the thing downstairs.
Oh yes. Oh, all that. Yes. You're on.
And some milk. And now he said we can't bring snacks.
Well, as the day develops, we'll develop drinking games. Yeah.
We're ready to go. Okay, you can start the meeting now, Mark. He's on shore power.
Fantastic. Glad you are. Thank you so much.
Here he is, Mr. Best Made Pickles.
What?
I was going to ask you the same. I'm not on the committee. This is SDA right here. You can't get to see it. Oh, no. I could swear. I could swear that I saw your name on the committee.
Well, good morning, everyone. Wow, it's a hot mic. Sorry for the delay. We're still working the internet. You might start going to tethering, that kind of thing. It may come up here in just a few minutes, but we've got some introductions and some things to go first that aren't going to actually take Wi-Fi directly. It'd be nice to be able to send some stuff out, but we're just going to have to wait on that a bit. Before we start, I would like for Mac Duncan, where's Mac? There he is in the back. He's agreed to open us in prayer. So if everybody would stand up, and Mac.
Bow with me, please. Almighty God and Father in heaven, we bow before you at this time. We come to you, Father, needing your guidance and your wisdom for the decisions that are about to be made. And we pray that we will keep your principles of righteousness and justice in front of us at all times. Grant wisdom to each and every one of us. Help us to use our knowledge properly in discussing these things, in voting on them, making the decisions that need to be made. Help us to understand, Father, the gravity of this time that we're in. There are enemies outside and enemies within who seek to destroy the freedoms that so many have fought and died for, the sacrifices that have been made so that we could stand here today with little, if any, fear of repercussion from our own government. And we ask, Father, that you will lift up the hands of those who would rule and lead wisely. And we ask, Father, that for those who refuse to follow your precepts, that you will crush them and remove them from their power, and help us to be strong in the face of danger and conflict. We thank you, Father, for each and every person that is here and the sacrifice of their time and the safe trips that they've had. And we ask, Father, that whenever we adjourn from this place, that we will have safe trips back to our respective homes, that we will take the things that we have done here in this place and we will begin to implement them properly. We are ultimately thankful for Jesus and for his sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice that was made so that we could come before you and seek your forgiveness and your guidance and petition you as we do now. Please forgive us of our sins. Lead us to a knowledge of anything that we're not aware of so that we can turn from it. And help us to always be grateful for all the blessings that you give to us through him. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mac. I don't see any flags. Do we have anybody with any flags desktop? I don't like, kind of like. Let's wait till we get some proper flags for that part. So let's be seated.
Well, that's true. You could put one on the screen.
Okay, welcome to members and guests. This is a very important time, as Max said. Those of you that have not served on state committees before, this particular committee is one of what's widely considered the three most important committees. Those of you that are experienced, maybe you've been on other committees but not on rules. Maybe you've been on rules before. We have an absolutely spectacular number of people in the room that have actually served on rules before. That's not normally the case in other state level committees. If it's your first time, well, that may be even better. And the reason I say that is from the standpoint that most really good ideas, I spent about 10 years in technical research, most really good ideas don't come from people that have been there 30 years. Most really good new ideas come from people that are relatively new to whatever the business it is. And so you new members may be the source of some new ways out if we get log jammed on wording and those kinds of things. It's both an honor and it's humbling to be on a committee of this magnitude. This year, rules is typically not thought of as a real exciting committee to be on. It's typically a little more cordial. It's typically a little more structured, those kinds of things than perhaps legislative priorities or platform. This year, however, given some of the issues that are before us, promises to be an exceptional year for the Rules Committee. First of all, I want to acknowledge we are building on what has been done before. We're not starting from a blank sheet of paper that's well built into the rules. When I was first elected on SREC, my mentor was Clint Moore. And many of y'all, if y'all been on the committee before, remember Clint very well. We're building on work that some of you, and of course Clint and others before, have already come before us. This is a year of historic turnover in many offices, not just in our state, but even nationwide. It's a presidential year, obviously. For anybody that hasn't been paying attention, that promises to be even perhaps more exciting than 2020, if that's even imaginable. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that the Rules Committee has done any kind of major pre-work, like we done on the Zoom calls, trying to get the supplementals in at least decent shape before we met here today. We've rearranged the schedule a bit, as mentioned on the Zoom call, for efficiency. For those in the audience who may not have been on the Zoom call, I am a very strong believer, and have seen it in my life, that if you're trying to fill a container, so to speak, it's been said that if you want to do the best job filling that container, you put the big rocks in first. And then you start dealing with other things that are not quite as big, and you end up with sand or even water. That's the approach we're going to take in this committee. We will be taking care of some statutory things as soon as we get Wi-Fi and all of that working. Once we get the statutory things taken care of, including our supplemental rules for the convention, then the intent will be that we'll go into Rule 46, followed by Rule 44, followed by Rule 8, and then the rest will be handled in reverse numerical order, like we talked about on the Zoom call the other night. I do have some committee rules that I can't distribute because we don't have the Wi-Fi up yet, but I do have some committee rules that reflect that they can be changed by the committee by majority vote, but that'll at least be our starting point. And then we also, the elephant in the room, so to speak, is that we have the SREC recommended amendment to add Rule 46. And that may be perhaps the most important issue that's coming before us this week. Just FYI, it is not required that we pass the exact SREC language. We're free to amend that. We're free to improve upon that. Technically, we don't even have to take it up at all. But I think in speaking with many of you and speaking with constituents all around the state, that there's a desire to take up that rule and get it passed in some form or another. It's been brought up to me, I'm not sure if y'all have heard this, that we could also take a look at term limits in our rules. And I have not personally seen any kind of language at all, but we could potentially do something like that. Just wanted to throw it out there for now. Those of you that are new to state committees, listen up closely, and I'll try to remind people of this when the time comes. We will have a pretty long session today. I do not, as I mentioned on the Zoom call, expect to stay here till 11 o'clock every night. I think we can get our work done more efficiently than that, but if we have to, we have to. Lost my place there. Tuesday and Wednesday will be long days. Wednesday will be a little bit different than Monday and Tuesday in that that's when many delegates will be showing up. And we will want to make more time available for delegate testimony on Wednesday than we might today or even tomorrow on Tuesday. In terms of Wednesday, I hope we have pretty much all our business finished by Wednesday in terms of our deliberations. Wednesday is when the supplemental rules will go before SREC, and they will pass those with or without amendments, and then we will come back in session after that and perhaps have just more public testimony. I personally think that's a really good thing to let the delegates have their say, but we may have some cleanup stuff we need to do on Wednesday. When you new members, well, all of you, when you go to your Senate District Caucus on Thursday, you need to be prepared to give a brief report on what has taken place during the week. So any kind of highlights, the things we've changed to 46 potentially and 44 and 8 and anything else along the way, be ready to give them a short report. I think the rules actually specify 5 minutes. I'm not sure that's ever been enforced. But give them a report on Thursday so they can understand what we've been doing. Of course, that is when we'll have the election to permanent committee as well. And then once that happens, we'll have a congressional district caucus, and then beginning at 6 o'clock. I don't know if you saw that in the schedule. It was originally 7 o'clock, but beginning at 6 o'clock, we'll meet back, I believe it's in this very room, to have what is usually a pretty fast-paced, hear delegates testify, make any adjustments to the permanent rules, and go forward from there for presentation and approval by the convention on Friday. On Friday, your work is not over. On Friday, you actually need to be prepared to defend the rules that we've finally gotten passed at that point. should you so choose to do so. And it is important for those of you that are on the Rules Committee to be ready to go to the microphone and defend what we've done. One last thing before we get into introductions, and I think we may have a resolution in the back, is that I do intend on taking frequent breaks. I have been accused of not taking enough breaks when I've chaired other committees in the past. In fact, Mr. Pickle didn't want to be on my committee because he said I worked the platform committee too hard when I chaired that one. Not sure about that, but anyway, I will try to take frequent breaks, but the breaks are not just to go to the bathroom. They're also for those of you that are contending over difficult issues or maybe just nuances on wording. They're actually a working break, so maybe y'all can get things worked out when we come back and have a solution. I found that's very helpful in other committees. If I forget to take a break, somebody please remind me or clear their throat real loud or something like that. Okay, with that, before we get to introductions, Leslie, did you have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a resolution for this committee. Okay, it's not a formal resolution, it's on the fly, so don't judge. Whereas the Temporary Rules Committee kind of works as a committee on the whole in that we deliberate and we talk to one another, and whereas we need to see each other's faces and the nameplates of our fellow rules member for better collaboration, we need to talk face to face. And whereas there's enough room that we not do it in this format, but in the U format, be it resolved that that this committee change the room from the classroom setting, lecture setting, to the U shape.
Do we have any discussion? Well, we need a second. Oh, lots of seconds. Okay. Seconded by Eric Opiella. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 30-1, I believe, on voice vote. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. We are working on that. We've actually been working on it several weeks, and it hasn't gotten resolved quite yet, but hopefully that resolution will help get it resolved as soon as possible. I like being able to see everybody, but unfortunately with this arrangement, I'm the only one that can do that effectively. Nobody else can see people to the side or behind you. And more importantly, we can't really see the testifiers very well, and you can't see the reaction of crowds to various things. So we'll work on that. Okay, let's take just a brief introduction for, yes, sir. So we need to find that and get back to people as soon as we can. Yeah, I thought it was, but yeah. Okay, good point. Okay, let's start with some introductions, and we'll just go in SD order. You're free to say as much or as little as you want. Name, rank, serial number, what issues you're passionate about, which rules you're passionate about. Maybe how you got into party activism to begin with might help break the ice a little bit. So,
hi everybody, I'm Kristen Bentley, and I'm from Senate District 1. I'm the SREC committee woman, and I serve on resolutions and I serve on legislative priorities. I lead the priority Stop Sexualizing Texas Kids. And my background is in education. I have a master's in special education. I'm a special education advocate professionally. I live up in north of Tyler, Texas. Married, 2 sons, two dogs, 6 cows, and just got about 8 chickens, and trying to be a farmer, which is a lot of work. Anyway, it's great to be here. I am very much in favor of closing the primary, and that is the main objective for me. So anyway.
Randall D. Dunning from Garland, Texas, SD2. I got into Republican politics in 1964, sitting around the table with my parents stuffing envelopes for Barry Goldwater, AUH2O, for those of you old enough to remember. I got involved in Texas politics 1988. I was one of Robertson's raiders that stormed into the party. My principal issue at the time, Second Amendment. Second Amendment, Second Amendment. Those were my 3 top issues. Also pro-life. I got involved. I've been an SREC member. I've been a city council member. I have been the alternate to 2 national conventions, and just doing what I can. This is my 2nd time on the Rules Committee. Served on Platform Committee in 1994, and happy to be here again.
Mac Duncan, Huntington, Texas, right outside of Lufkin, SD3. Like a lot of people perhaps here who have any age under their belts, I was born and raised into a Democrat family, and then I woke up. And Al Gore kind of opened my eyes to what was going on. So I started paying attention around that time, and learned some things, realized that we needed to get back to some principles of the law of the land. I am and have been a minister for almost 40 years. I have a master's degree in psychology. I teach primarily nursing students at Angelina College in Lufkin and teach developmental psychology. I'm working on my doctorate degree now. I'm a precinct chair and a program chair there in Angelina County. And Rule 44, Rule 44, Rule 44. Closing the primaries as well. So looking forward to working with you and learning a lot in this experience.
Okay, thank you. John?
Thanks, Mac. John Boucher, SD4, from Montgomery County. The reddest large county left in Texas, I might say. We just turned out 89% vote Republican in Montgomery County this last primary election. Y'all say, why don't we have 100? Well, we like to keep 11% around just to let us know this ain't heaven, I guess. So we keep a few Democrats around. I got into politics, I don't know, several years ago at the urging of House Rep Steve Toth, who was an elder in the church that I was leading worship in. And when I was chairman of the Lone Star Christian Chamber of Commerce, I served on the platform committee last time, and I was the chair of the subcommittee on criminal and civil justice at the last convention. I got on the rules committee this time because we have some disconnect, that nexus where the legislature meets RPT rules, meets county party rules. That gray area is causing a problem. And if this is going to be a rules committee and not just a guidelines committee and a suggestions committee, we got some things we need to clean up here and at the legislature in order to make those things congruent. So I'm excited to have a chance to work on that with you guys, and hopefully we can get that ironed out. Close the primaries is a big deal. And I don't know, we shouldn't have Democrats electing Republican Party leadership. So I am in favor, of course, of having the county executive committee decide whether they want their county chair elected in the primary or they want to elect them like a board of directors would their president, so we stop having outside influence. Thank you. Montgomery County, we just had the Sands Hotel mailing into our county to try and get our chair elected. We had Texans for Lawsuit Reform mailing in to try and get our county chair elected. We had Democrats voting for our present county chair who lost, thank God. It shouldn't be that way. Republicans should be leading Republicans, and God willing, we'll get that done. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Wright from SD5. My phone is dysfunctional. I'm Dwayne Wright from SD5. This is my fourth term on the Rules Committee. Twice I served in SD3. Then we redistricted, now I'm SD5. This is my second term in SD5. I'm the former executive director for the TRCCA. I stepped down from that to run David Covey's campaign against Dave Phelan and Janice Holt's campaign against Ernest Bales. I am a proponent of closed primaries. We dealt with Ernest Bales for 8 years. My HD is the third most conservative HD in the state of Texas. There's 150 of them. And we had a liberal who was constantly being reelected by all the Democrats coming over because they had no other action. We're 89% Republican. By the way, 10 years ago, I woke up in a Democrat county, ran for chair, and flipped the county within 11 months. We completely replaced all Democrats in all offices in the same election. I don't know that it's been done before. But by doing so, we have no Democrats that even want to try to run because they're just going to get crushed. So what they do is they happily cross over and vote wherever they can to try to get the squishiest person in. And that's what's promoted Ernest Bales being in for 8 years. This guy was absolutely horrible. It took over $1.2 million to get him out this time. But we were able to form a coalition and team up and get it done. So I'm happy to serve again and look forward to some good debate. And we'll talk to you guys after lunch.
Thank you, Dwayne. That's a good story.
Keith Nielsen, SD6.
You're on, Commissioner.
Hello, I'm Ken Leonard. I'm a recovering county commissioner. You're supposed to say hello, Ken. Well, I have been involved in Republican politics. Started when Paul Eggers was running for governor back in the 70s. But I'm a former county chairman, and the first time I ran the election in our county, in Kaufman County, we only had 4 polling places in the entire county, and I was the guy that had to go out and find polling places and staff to staff 29 precincts. It's not an easy task, but I did all of that before. The only reason I ran for county commissioner is I couldn't find somebody else to run, so I ran myself. After I left Commissioner's Court, served 2 terms, I went to work for Churches of Christ Disaster Relief and traveled all over the country, going to disasters and preaching at churches. I only had 1 sermon. I could really preach Acts 11. But loved doing disaster relief work, but hated being away from my wife. But that's the reason I've been away from being real involved. I think this is my 20th state convention, and I've been on the Rules Committee twice before, and I'm honored to be on the Rules Committee again.
Good morning, everybody. Mike Snyder. I'm a recovering journalist, okay, 30 years at NBC television, but just to let you know, I was the odd man out in every editorial meeting. I've been a Republican since birth, and one of my great pleasures and my great honor is I've covered every political convention, both Republican and Democrat, between 1980 and 2010, every one of them. And I did that for NBC5 and NBC television. The good part for me is that because I was a Republican and I argued in those editorial meetings, it prepared me for when I left television in 2010. I've been the communications director for the Tarrant County Republican Party. I was there, by the way, you're not the only one who had your entire county turn over Tarrant County was first in that 28 years ago. And every elected official in Tarrant County is a Republican, okay? Can I have an amen from somebody? Amen. It is important to me to be on this committee because this is the heart and soul of, well, I don't want to take anything away from platform. The heart and soul of the party comes from here. This is a serious work committee, serious work. And what comes out of this committee helps drive this convention. And it's important, I think, for us to, and I really commend our chairman because of the work that we did the week before, coming here with supplementals already in pretty good order so that we can make a good discussion and good use of our time. But the one thing I think is really important for this convention is for us to think about what's happened to our party. Tarrant County is on the fringe. We're attacked every election. And believe me, they are dumping millions into our county to try to turn it purple. We don't think that they can do that. But the point that I'm trying to get to you is this. Because we allow the Democrats to come across and to vote in our primaries, I think we are running the risk of allowing ourselves to be taken over by the Democratic Party. I think it is vitally important that we recognize that some of the states, like Iowa, who have party registration, actually have a pretty darn good idea. If we keep our party clean in our primaries, I believe we will not have some of the problems that we have of the legislature not following our priority list as a Republican Party. We have to keep our party clean, and the only people that are responsible for that is guess who? Us. Thank you all.
Yeah, I am Susan Valiant from SD10, Tarrant County. This is my first Rules Committee. I was on credentials the last time, and I am running for SREC2.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dave Wilson, representing SD11. Became awakened into politics back when Barack Obama got elected and the Tea Party movement started, and I was a director of a Tea Party up in Harris County for 7 years. And San Antonio honestly holds a soft place in my heart because it was 6 years ago that I came here, and my wife was running for an SREC position, and I was supporting her opponent. Now, we weren't married at the time, but that happened afterwards. So there's a longer story that goes with that I'll share with you if you ask. But my passion has to do with making sure with legislative bodies like this, whether it be the Republican Party of Texas or even within our legislature, I want to make sure that the body is the one that has the final say in what happens. So that has to do with rules. It has to do with county bylaws, things of that nature. I've seen too many examples of where oppressive bylaws are drafted by county executive committees that more or less allow the leadership of the county to have their say and sway. And the way Robert's Rules of Order are set up are such that the body is the one that makes the determination. And so that's kind of throughout all the rules that we're dealing with, but when we get on those issues, that's going to be my focus. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Ronnie Jones, SD12 up in Denton County. I got involved in politics back in 2020 when the election was stolen from President Trump. And just from his advice and General Flynn's advice, get involved locally. We started at the local level, helping with mayor's races. Found out about being a precinct chair. I've been a precinct chair since then. I'm now the vice chair of the Denton County Republican Party. And on the rules, I really want to focus on closing the primaries. I think that's vitally important because every Democrat in Texas knows that over the last 20 years, all you got to do is go and vote in a Republican primary in order to classify yourself as a Republican. And that definitely has to stop. And then the Rule 44 and Rule 8, we got to start holding elected officials accountable. I mean, they can't run amok all over the CECs and all over the voters of our counties. Thank you.
There we go. Brute force. My name is Rachel Hooper, and I am the General Counsel for the Republican Party of Texas. If you were in Harris County during the primary election, you will know that the Democrats also call me the top Republican lawyer in Texas. That's because I'm on the prosecution team against Lena Hidalgo's staffers. I'm a former prosecutor in Harris County. I worked there for 12 years, and then for the last 10 years, I work at a big law firm in Houston. During this last primary election, I served as the party's primary lawyer, and I was so proud of all of the hard work that our team at RPT did during that election, including making sure that Justice John Devine remained on the ballot. So we did some great work there. I'm so proud to be here. Last convention, I got the opportunity to serve on the Rules Committee, and it was my honor. And during that time, I was happy to work together with so many of you, Mike, just so many wonderful people, even you, Dwayne, to make our rules our rules. That's what we did 2 years ago. And why I'm to explain, is we removed all references to the Texas Election Code. So our rules, for some reason, had citations to statutes and things like that. No, excuse me, these are our rules. So that's what we did 2 years ago. And why I'm here, well, thank you for the appointment, but what I really want to do this time is make sure that Republicans elect Republicans. You may not be aware, so I kind of stand up here and kind of look down on what's going on across the state. I hear from a lot of you. I truly believe that we will not have the problems we have experienced, like Mr. Boucher in Montgomery County. We would not have those problems if we had closed primaries, because we would be electing a chair who's a conservative. And that's just my true belief. And so I'm so happy to be here with you this week. If you have any questions or want to talk to me about anything, I'm open to it. And I just appreciate you listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. And I know Rachel's worked really hard on this, perhaps more than anybody in the room. So, and that's not to take away from the work y'all have done. Eric.
Chairman Ramsey, Eric Opiella. I don't think it works, but I'll just stand up and talk.
Is the switch on the top on?
There's no switch. There's no switch on this
Okay.
one, so.
Devin, no.
It's been blasting. Touch the table. Here, there you go. There we go. Eric Opiella, Senate District 14. Well, now it's off again. Senate District 14 on the Rules Committee. This is, my first convention was 2002. I served on the organization committee at that convention, was a precinct chair, county chair for 6 years in South Texas and Karnes County. Served as the executive director of the party for 2 years. Then was on the SREC for 4 years from Senate District 21, and was counsel for the party for 7 years, beginning in Steve Ministeri's era, and now I practice law in the People's Republic of Austin, and excited to be on the Rules Committee again. I think the last time I was on the Rules Committee was when we were in Dallas, with some of you guys, and excited to be back again. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric. Josh. Josh Flynn, SD 15. I'm a father of 5, grandpa of 2, and I've been doing this. Will be my 11th time on the Rules Committee.
Hello, my name is Nathan Joy from SD 16, Irving, Texas. This is my first time serving on a state committee. I've served several times, many times, on our SD's Resolutions Committee with Randy a few times when he was in 16. My background, I'm a fighting Texas Aggie. I have a background in economics and finance, and I'm here today all about closing our primaries. I think that is our most important issue that we have to take care of. We got to figure this out and get it fixed. It's an issue. We all know it's an issue, and we've heard that over and over again. So I won't beat the dog right now, but happy to be here. Glad to be serving today.
My name is Caleb Piello. I'm in Senate District 17. I've been voting in every election since I remember. I consider myself an informed citizen, but then 2008 came about. We had a politician trying to transform our country, fundamentally transform our country, I should say. And then I thought just voting isn't enough, got to get involved. Started block walking, became a precinct chair, started getting involved in state conventions. I've served on a platform committee and now convention of states as well, where we wanted to impose fiscal responsibility, term limits, and limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government with the Constitution.
I'm Sandy Kent, Senate District 18, and this is my second time on rules.
My name is David Westbrook. I'm from SD 19. David Westbrook, SD 19, Bexar County. This is my second roundabout on the rules. The first time was when we passed Rule 44. So I'm kind of interested in making sure that gets updated properly because it hasn't been used properly. So I'm not going to get into what I'm for and against right now. Other than that, there's enough time for that debate later. Have a good one.
Chuck Burnett, Senate District 20. I'm also with SREC for ST20. I cover Hidalgo County down on the border, Brooks County, Jim Wells County, and Nueces County. I'm also the Nueces County Party Secretary for about the last 5 or 6 years. My primary interest, well, actually everything y'all have mentioned is stuff I'm interested in. Something else that's a little interest to me is Rule 8, which was Mark discussed earlier. I don't think somebody that is a county chairman should go 2 years without holding a meeting. So I'd like to create a little more responsibility there for county chairs. Thank you.
SD 21, Kathy Hagler. I used to live in Senate District 11, moved to Senate District 21 in 2010. So between those two, I've been on the SREC for 9.5 years, State Party Secretary for 2 years, County Chair for 5 years. I've been to 16 conventions, and this is my fifth time, I think, on the Rules Committee.
My name's Leslie Thomas. I'm SD 22. I'm a homeschool mom of 6 kids. I got 1 left, so pray for me. I'm a grassroots person, and I'm a Christian, and that's what I guard in the rules. I was on the platform for 2 years, and actually Mark was my subcommittee chair when I was on the platform. And that's where my heart is. That's where my soul is. But I noticed that that wasn't being translated into the work of the party. And I knew that I had to get on rules to make sure the platform, and now that legislative priorities gets initiated. I was on the, I've been on the rules for about, I think this is my 6th time. I was on the Rules Committee when we passed LP, the Legislative Priorities Committees. I think that's a very good success. Other parties are now reaching out to our party to help them do legislative priorities. So we were #1 in that initiative. This Rules Committee was leading on that issue. As a Christian, I guard, love the Lord, your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, and your neighbor as yourself. That's what I want to preserve. I'm also grassroots, but I need to tell you that we have usually a tension between the grassroots and the county chairs or those people that have to implement things on this committee. And I ask you to do what I do. Talk to them. Ask them why they're against things, because they're the ones who actually have to implement these things. And there's reasons why. So there's always going to be that tension there. You don't want to get rid of the tension, but you want to respect one another and come to a workable compromise. And I know I have relationships with Dwayne and Kathy. If they're pushing for something, I know I need to go over there and talk to them. Okay, why are they pushing this? Because it's kind of like unfunded mandates, right? They're volunteers as county chairs. You're asking them to do something, and they're a volunteer. So anyway, I'm glad to be serving with you, and God bless us all, and God bless Texas.
Hello, I'm Rick Cook, SD23. I've been coming to conventions since 2000. I've been on the Credentials Committee a couple times, maybe 3. And last time, Leslie graciously let me go to permanent rules after we voted in the SD caucus as a trying to get me to dip my toes into this, and apparently it worked. So because I'm back this year, as my big ticket items are closed primary, Rule 44 being maintained as a tool that's useful, and the other one got fixed by the legislature, so it was the faithless elector thing. So thank you.
Bruce Campbell, SD 24. I live in Fredericksburg, the home of Fredericksburg Peaches and the Napa Valley of Texas. I'm the county chair of Gillespie County, the only county to hand count all its ballots in the primary. This is my 2nd time on the Rules Committee. I'm former SRAC when I lived in SD 17. I was precinct chair in Harris County for 21 years and have been involved since the mid-'80s when a guy asked me to be an election clerk, and I just never left. I'd like to change Rule 23A back to a full complement of convention delegates and alternates because COVID's over, and we elected all 22 delegates and alternates we were allowed to elect, but we could have elected all 35 if we had been allowed to have our full delegate for every 300 votes. I'd like to get back to that.
Back over to Naomi.
Good morning. I'm Naomi Narvaez. I'm a Comal County delegate for Senate District 25, the largest delegation to state. I'm also the SREC for SD 25 and was appointed to Rules and Resolutions for the body for the first time on rules. And this is my first time on the rules for state. I've also previously served on the SREC for Senate District 21 with Eric Opiella until we moved into 25. I love our party, and I want to make sure that we keep it in the hands of the grassroots. I love what we've been doing, and I want to make sure we improve it. I support closed primaries, and I support President Trump.
My name is Justin Nichols. This is my 3rd time to serve on the State Rules Committee, and it's an honor to do so, and I want to welcome everybody to my home county where you sit, 26, home of the Alamo, and welcome to San Antonio. Look forward to working with each of y'all.
Thank you. My name is Suzanne Guggenheim. I'm from SD 27, Corpus Christi. My accent, I guess, tells you that it's not quite a Texan accent. In fact, I was born in Hungary and was with my mother as a baby persecuted by the Nazi and then the communist regimes. So I was raised, as you can imagine, to abhor all types of totalitarianisms and extremisms. I don't have a single particle in my blood of liberalism. So I was raised in Paris, but I moved to the United States in 1982 when France elected a socialist who took 5 communists in his government. I'm sad to see our country follow the same path right now. I attended my first Republican meeting the first month I arrived in the United States, and then it took me 5 years to get my green card, and then 5 more years to legally become an American, which I'm very proud to be. I lived 20 years in California that I saw turn from red to blue. I moved then in Colorado, that moved from red to blue. I am now in Texas for 15 years, and I don't want to see Texas turn blue. That's why I'm fighting every single day. So I've been, by the way, my precinct turned this year 88% of Republicans. We had 67% 4 years ago, which I was very proud of, but 88% I was amazed. And as all of you know, the higher you go, the hardest every percentage to gain is. So I was on platform committee last year, and I'm very honored and glad to be on rules this year. We have some very important issue, and I have always been, in fact, for close primaries, and I've seen them work, but I have been kind of surprised by the arguments I heard these last few weeks. So I want to hear more and keep an open mind, but I still think we need to do absolutely everything we can to make sure Texas does not turn blue. Thank you.
I'm Tim Lambert from SD 28. Got involved in the Republican Party in 1984. Our family started to homeschool. The state of Texas at that time had an attorney general who was named, we called him Junkyard Dog Jim Maddox. He said he didn't believe parents were qualified to raise their kids, much less teach them at home. And so we got involved, came to my first convention in '84, have been here ever since. Served as on the SREC as National Committee Man for two terms. And I'm back on this committee this time. I served on several committees in the 90s. And I'm back here because I believe, as many of you do, that it's time for us to close the primaries so that the primary voters can get the representation they deserve.
Hello, this is Brooks Coleman from SD 29, which is in El Paso County. And I've been a volunteer since, I think, 1990. I've held a state delegate. I was state delegate in Virginia for 1992 and 1994. My husband was in the Marine Corps, so we moved around a lot. I've also served as precinct chair in Bexar County and El Paso County, not at the same time. And this is my first time on a committee for state, and I'm pretty excited about it. I've participated in a lot of pro-life marches in DC and Tea Party marches when we had those. And anyway, I'm really concerned about the fact that so many Democrats are making decisions for the party, and so obviously Rule 44 is important to me. There are others as well that relate to our elections, but we need to start there, so we definitely need to correct that. So I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Thank you. My name is Mark Russell, not Mark Ramsey.
though I often get those names confused because everyone just says Mark. But I retired from my professional life to get involved in Texas politics, and I've been participating or attending the Rules Committee since 2014, and this is my second term on the Rules Committee. I am the proud grandfather of my own personal Marine, and I'm honored to be a recipient of the Congressional Patriot Award. I believe as a parliamentarian that no organization behaves better than its rules dictate in most cases. And that's why I'm on the Rules Committee.
Perspective. One more, Brandon.
Brandon W. Hodges from Midland, Texas, Senate District 31. We have 45 counties within our Senate district. We are the largest geographical area in the state of Texas. Most of it is rural. We have thousands and thousands of square miles within our SD. We represent less than 3% of the state's population, but we produce almost 10% of Texas' private domestic gross product. This is my fourth convention, maybe fourth, I think. First time serving on the Rules Committee. I'm here to tell everybody and protect our rural districts because we have historically Midland County, Ector County, which is Odessa, Randall and Potter, which is Amarillo. Those are the biggest metro statistical areas in Senate District 31. They've got some voting power, and they have historically been able to offset the larger metropolitan areas. And I'm here to tell you that being a lifelong native Midlander, Midland and the landscape of West Texas has changed dramatically. It is not a red county. They are siphoning off votes, and we have so many problems within the Republican Party and so many fights amongst ourselves that it is very, very frustrating. Our voter turnout is at historical lows throughout the entire Senate District 31, and I am here to tell you that if we do not unify as a party and agree on the 80%, the Pareto principle, mathematical concepts, that we are going to lose Texas because Senate District 31 will not be able to continue to offset the metropolitan area votes. It cannot do it. We have saved the rest of the state many, 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 many times, and I'm telling you the landscape is changing. So I'm hoping that we can close down primaries or figure out a way to make sure that we're all certified, bona fide, truly are Republican, not just the Democrats, but we have some libertarian sides, leaning sides that are coming in that are anti-business. I am pro-business, pro-private property rights. We own gun stores. I'm a serial entrepreneur. We have gun stores to chemical companies that service the midstream and upstream portions of the oil and gas industry. And I am seriously concerned for the future of my son, who will graduate soon from Texas Tech with a master's degree in mechanical engineering. And yeah, absolutely. And I just want to make sure that these young people are afforded the same opportunities that I was afforded to make a go of it. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to close our primaries out to people who are, because you cannot fix a problem if it's based on lies, and people who are willing to lie to get in to cause chaos and discord should not be allowed in. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, with that, we've got one other order of business to take care of. Thank you all, members. That takes a while, but I've noticed in meetings over my career that if you don't take that time, the meeting just is slower getting started and that sort of thing. Serves as a bit of an icebreaker. Unless you want to go play some games or something, and I don't think we have time for that. I do want to thank Jerry and Shane to my left and Mike to my right. They've volunteered to help us through the week on secretarial issues. To my left is basically where we're going to be driving the computer that you see up on the screen, primarily because we've had some issues in recent past, including 22, where completely live Google Docs sort of thing has actually
inadvertently gotten changed, whether it was intentionally or accidentally, we're not entirely sure. But we're not actually operating on a complete live stream in that sense. We're going to be operating off of Jerry's computer, and we'll try to update the convention every couple or 4 hours as things get passed and whatnot. So everybody seems to think that's a pretty good idea. Anyway, with that, I've been waiting to take the formal roll call. We're still missing one person, but let's go ahead and take the formal roll call, and then I think we're about ready for our first break, and we'll come back with committee rules after that. So if Mike, if you can take the roll.
Mike White from Ellis County, SD 22. I'm just volunteering as a vote tally clerk. And not my business to put my opinion in. But we're going to start with the roll call.
He's being a little less complimentary than maybe he should be. The reason we even got Mike involved was we found out that Mike has not missed a Rules Committee meeting, even going back on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays for, what was it, 8 years, 10 years, something like that? 12 to 13 years. So, yeah, there you go. So thank him for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see, there's 31 of us, plus the chair, Mark Ramsey. Here? Okay. Kristen Bentley. Here. Randy Dunning.
Yo.
Mac Duncan.
Present.
John Bosch.
Boucher here.
Boucher, sorry about that. I got a little French in me too. Dwayne Wright. Here. Keith Nelson. Here. Russell Rush. Ken Leonard. Here. Mike Snyder.
Here.
Susan Valiant. Okay. Dave Wilson. Here. Ronnie Jones. Here. Rachel Hooper. Here. Eric Opa.
Here. Here.
And Josh Flynn.
Here.
Okay. And Nate Joy. Here. I remember you from the streaming we did, or the Zoom meeting, you know. And, Caleb Pillado. Here. Okay. Sandra Kind. Here. David Westbrook. Present. All right. Chuck Burnett.
Burnett. Here.
And Kathy Hagler. Here. Leslie Thomas. Here. She's the one that got me this job. Eric Rick Cook. Here. Rick Cook. Okay. Bruce Campbell. Here. I know a lot about you. You've been coming to this stuff along. Naomi Narvaez.
Present.
Okay. Justin Nichols.
Here.
Susan Guggenheim.
Present.
Welcome to America. Tim Lambert.
Here.
Brooks Coleman.
Trump one, here.
Mark Russell. Here. Brandon Hodges.
Here.
We're all here.
With that, it's 12:31 by my watch. Let's take a 15-minute break, and hopefully if you can get tethered up during the break and on the net. I did finally tether to my phone, and I sent out the rules that I'm proposing for the committee to go through. They're very flexible. We can change most things with a majority vote if we get into that kind of a situation. Or just suspend them for whatever the issue might be. So, anyway, 15-minute break. Be back here at be 12:47.
If you need help connecting your phone, if you have tethering to your computer, I'm happy to help. I'm Shane. That's the only way I have internet currently. So if you need help, raise your hand. I'll come and try to help you.
So there's no convention?
It's still not working. Hopefully we have it soon, but if you have tethering on your phone but you don't know how to do it, I'm happy to do it for you. You just have to let me into your phone really fast.
Yes.
Go to your computer, and I'll do it with you. I have to do it at your.
Right. To send that, to send up to nominate from 5? Okay, so you want someone to be on the committee, not someone to recommend to be a delegate? Is that what you're saying?
So
My wife's from St.
Right,
Louis.
because I'm throwing my hat in the ring for national convention proceedings. Yes.
Sorry.
National convention. How wonderful. Would you like one of these? This is a 2000. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. Discovered in my desk. Bless you. How wonderful. That's going in here so I don't lose it. I think I said the question I have. I'll tell you, Ray, my nephew had a son. Under
If someone can maybe herd the people out in the outside in, we need to get started again.
2 minutes too, it'd be okay?
Mexican or something on the Riverwalk.
No, well, on roll call or something.
there's anybody toward the back doors, you might let them know that we're coming back into order. Jerry's going to put up the supplemental committee rules that I'm proposing. While she's doing that, let me try to explain the origin of this and kind of go through them real quick. I've got some typos in my copy. Jerry's already caught a couple of them and corrected them. These, for the most part, started with, I believe it was the 2020 committee rules. I was kind of looking at those in the 2022 rules. I just had a preference for the way Virgil had done it in 2020. We did, as we talked on the Zoom call, I put in 3 provisions or 4 provisions as to the order we'll take up rules when we get to the general rules. And that's Amendment 46 from the SREC, Rule 44 revisions, Rule 8 revisions, and then other rules will be taken up in reverse sequential order, except, I didn't mention this earlier, that by majority vote, other rules can be taken up out of that order if we need to do something like that. Simple majority vote. I did put on number 5, this I think has changed slightly from what was in 2020, and that is that rules once reviewed and approved by the committee may only be revisited with a majority vote of the committee president voting. And I think the 2020 language was 2/3 vote, and that's why I've got it highlighted so you can see the difference that I made there. Got some pretty standard stuff under general requirements. All motions must be presented to the chair and then seconded before discussion begins. The member making the motion, and some of this language was just exactly from 2020 or 2022. The member making the motion shall have the first opportunity to speak to his or her motion. This one's a little bit different. Debate on motions will be allowed without limit, alternating between those for and against a motion, except, now this is talking about member debate, not delegate debate, except that no motion may use more than 10 minutes unless extended by the committee. Major rule amendments, and that's the 3 that I referenced up in the top 3 rules, and additions may use no more than 30 minutes, again, unless extended by the committee, and friendly amendments are explicitly permitted. The chair may determine what type of vote is required, ranging from without objection, unanimous acclamation, to roll call, and others. A previous question motion, which is not generally allowed in committee unless specified in committee supplemental rules, a previous question motion shall be allowed for both the temporary and the permanent committee business after reasonable debate. That brings up one thing. I wouldn't plan on using a lot of time on either this for temporary committee or in permanent committee. So I've gone ahead and put the wording in most places where it applies to both committees. I know the permanent committee's got to reapprove it once we get there, but the language is kind of there already. The temporary and permanent committees may enter into formal work sessions to perfect its work. This came pretty much straight out of 2020. During the time, the committee will remain open to the public, but no testimony or debate will be allowed for delegates or alternates. Number 12, the committee editing committee, that's a mouthful, and the chair or his designate shall have the authority to make non-substantive changes to the committee report relating to grammar, spelling, punctuation, and formatting. These shall be disclosed to the committee. Added something here in keeping with the SREC rules that those of you that are on SREC are familiar with, is that committee members must disclose their status in writing or electronic means as is available as A, purely volunteer, B, being reimbursed by one or more entities for expenses of being here, C, as being employed by one or more entities involved in lobbying or lobbying groups,
and D, as being employed by one or more agencies of the state of Texas or any of its political subdivisions. This, of course, would not be meant to keep somebody from voting or anything like that. It's just a full disclosure type of rule, pattern, frankly, after what the SREC is required to do at this point. If not 13A, the volunteer only, the source of the reimbursement or employers shall be disclosed.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Dwayne Wright, SD5. Where can we find this other than on the screen?
I emailed it to y'all before the break. If you were able to tether your laptop, it's I think the subject to search on. You probably get a lot of spam. No attachment. Okay, I'll resend it when we get through this.
Chair.
It's at the total bottom, all the way at the bottom. It's a Word document.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Josh.
Where would this list be held?
Sorry?
The disclosure. Where is this going to be disclosed to?
I'm open to suggestions. I would, at least off the top of my head, say it would be with the secretary and the chair. Okay, number 14, the standing
Mr. Chair.
rule. Yes, ma'am.
Rule 8 of the general rules, you're right, it is for the SREC, but it's also for state convention committee members that they may not vote for an issue that they're registered lobbyist for or that they have substantial interest as defined by the local government code.
Oh, I stand corrected. So it does, can you read that one more time?
Rule, well, I am.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Rule 8 says that no member of the SRC, CEC, or State Convention Committee may vote on any issue for which it is a member, which a member is a registered lobbyist or has a substantial interest as defined by the local government code. And then it cites the code.
Okay, so that's more of a recusal. This one.
So I think it's number L, 8L.
Right. This is a little bit more detailed than that, and it's come from conversations I've had with SRECs.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you can make it. You can have them disclose it, but they may not vote if they're a registered
Gotcha.
lobbyist, and they may not vote if they have a substantial interest.
Gotcha. Thank you. Number 14, the standing rules for the committee may be revised or suspended by majority vote of the committee. Number 15, nothing in these standing rules shall be construed to be unduly restraining open debate on any issue. And then for the delegates and alternates, when we start taking testimony, just 4 rules. 1, testimony by a delegate or alternate on an amendment shall be limited to 3 minutes in the temporary committee and 2 minutes in the permanent committee, unless extended at the direction of the chair or majority vote of the committee. Number 2, no testifier will testify more than once until all delegates wishing to testify during a public testimony period have been accommodated. Number 3, the testifier shall state his or her name, SD number, county, delegate, or alternate status for the record. And then 4, any language offered by consideration of the committee should be submitted via typewritten or clearly legible handwritten paper copy or an online form as may be available. I understand there's an RPT form, I haven't seen it yet, that we might be able to use. So, yes.
Point of information, Dave Wilson, ST11. How is rule number 13 supposed to be accomplished? How do we do that?
Well, that's up to the committee. I would think an informal approach would be fine, whether that consists of sending myself and Jerry an email. That's all okay with me. I don't have a specific form to do that. A simple, quick email that would say, I'm such and such from SD such and such, and I fall under category B, C, and D, and then because of B, C, or D, who the reimbursements or employers are.
Thank you.
And I'll just go ahead and, in my own case, technically I'm employed because I get a $150 fee as being a board member of the North Harris County Regional Water Authority. So technically, so that's a government agency kind of a thing. Okay. Do I have a motion for adoption?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Bruce Campbell, SD 24. I move the adoption of the supplemental committee rules with the changes shown in yellow.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we add as a rule, all roll call votes must be posted, at least taped on the back door, which include the SD's number and a yes or no, and may be put on the RPT Facebook page or the RPT site.
As an addition to Rule 9?
As an addition to these rules.
Rule 9, not a separate rule, but as an addition to Rule 9?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Needs a second.
Yeah, we do need a second.
I have a question.
Well, okay.
Does that not violate the standing RPT rules about secret ballots and roll call votes?
That applies, my understanding is only to elections of people.
That is correct. That is correct.
Is that your understanding, Leslie?
No, I don't have a second.
Yes, sir. John? Okay, it's been seconded by John Boucher that we add to Rule 9. Leslie, you
Mr.
want to
Chairman?
restate that so we can get it right in the document?
Sure. All roll call votes must be posted
Hang on.
on back door and must include SD numbers with a yes or a no. May be posted on the RPT Facebook page and RPT site. May. I don't want to hamper with electronic day. I don't want to hamper anyone. And anyone can take a picture of that and and post it on Facebook anyway. Okay, after back wall, insert with SD number and yes or no. Yeah. Let me see. Should be posted on. And before it says posted, change that from permissive language may to shall.
You're doing great.
Back door. Before the SD, put a period, put website period, put website period where your cursor is. Put a period there. Start a new sentence. SD numbers and yes or no vote shall be included. Yeah, I'll get there. Thanks.
Point of information.
And where it says may, before the posting,
Let's get this right first.
change that to shall. Yeah. Yes. No, not for the website. All roll call votes shall be posted on the back wall and may be posted on the website. Okay, that's it.
Okay, you want to read it out as it's on the screen now, Leslie?
Point of information.
Yes, who said that?
Does the author intend to have should in there rather than shall on the website? Because
that's-
should can be totally ignored, so
Yeah.
that's my question, is it?
Yes, all roll call votes shall be posted on back wall and may be posted on RPT website. SSD number and yes or no vote shall be included.
Okay.
Okay, so I think an earlier comment was she didn't want to put an undue burden on the RPT web guys if
Okay.
that creates a problem.
Okay, just for that clarification,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other discussion on Leslie's amendment?
I have one comment on it. The reason, we have roll calls, but there's no formal way to publish it according to our rules, and it really defeats the purpose of having a roll call vote. So this allows the delegates to know how their person voted, and it's accountability and transparency for delegates.
Thank you, Leslie. And yeah, there was some discussion prior that it'd be great if we had clickers like the SREC does. Then it would all, not be quite as difficult. This might be a little bit more difficult. It's a way to get around that. By the way, the intent of the chair is not to have every vote a roll call vote. It's only going to be important votes, closely divided votes, things of that sort. So, I think David was first.
David Westbrook, SD19, point of information. Do we have a printer to print said votes and then post them? Or are these going to be handwritten?
We may have to handwrite them. I was advised we do have a printer. I'm not sure how fast we can get hooked up to it. But yeah. Yes, sir, John?
Friendly amendment, if she would accept it, can we add abstain to that as well, so you can see who abstained from the vote? Instead of just yes or no and abstain?
Yes,
Yes, comma, no, comma, or abstain. Or abstain. Sorry, that's Mike Snyder, SD9, sorry.
Okay, we ready to vote?
No, I have a question.
Oh.
Justin Nichols, SD26. My concern is how you classify and describe what we just voted on as a matter of great subjectiveness. So when we're posting what people voted for, it doesn't need to be editorialized with someone saying you voted on an amendment, but because you voted for it, you were against Rule 44, or I guess I'm speaking against it. So I do have a concern that when you're posting votes, what the language is that is describing what was just voted on needs, who's going to write that? And are we just writing the exact language of the motion, meaning I move for adoption of Rule 44 as amended? Which would technically be the motion before the floor? Would it be I move for, or a vote on an amendment to exclude justices of the peace from Rule 44? I mean, that level of specificity really matters when delegates are trying to ascertain whether or not their representative here has carried out their desire. So for that reason, I would speak in opposition to the motion, or to the amendment.
Yeah, well taken. It would not be the chair's intent to take a roll call vote on wording kinds of things like that. Certainly most cases. If we had to do it for a very close vote, that would be the exception to that.
Is every roll call vote where we raise our hand and you count?
No, it's a roll call vote.
Okay.
We would do a formal roll call vote.
All right.
And I don't anticipate a huge number of those. We don't typically have a huge number. Yes, David?
Mr. Chairman, David Westbrook, SD19. I have a friendly amendment. All roll call votes on main motions shall be posted. I discussed it with Leslie, and she seemed to be okay with it.
That might address Justin's issue.
That's helpful, yeah.
Okay, have that friendly amendment?
Point of information? SD2, Randy
All right.
Dunning. Do we not have the ability here to do secret ballot votes?
No, I do
Not in
believe we
committee?
do. Because
Okay.
we're not actually electing any persons in this committee.
Okay,
At least
thank
not
you.
that I'm aware of. Everybody ready to vote? All in favor of the rules as amended by Leslie's amendment and a couple of friendly amendments, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are we, point of order, Mr. Chairman?
You can't do that in the middle of a vote.
I had my hand up way before we voted.
Okay, go ahead, Dwayne.
Are we voting on the amendment, or are we voting on the entire?
We should be voting on the amendment. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Here we go. All right.
Well, the friendly amendments we don't have to vote on, but we do have to vote on Leslie's amendment in the first place. So we're on Leslie's amendment. Sorry about that, folks. All in favor of Leslie's amendment to add posting of roll call votes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Now we're on the main motion, which I forget. Yes, Kathy.
SD 21, Kathy Hagler. I wanted to make an amendment under Rules for Delegates and Alternates. Number 1, testimony by a delegate or alternate on an amendment shall be, I want to add the words in person and, because we've had online testimony in COVID years, so I want to make sure that they understand it's only in person. So it would be, shall be in person and limited to.
I'll second that. Mike Snyder, SD9.
Number 1 under bottom rules for delegates.
Shall be in person and limited to.
First line.
First line.
Testimony by a delegate or alternate on an amendment shall be in person and limited.
Thank you, members. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Amendment carries.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Dwayne.
Dwayne Wright, SD5. With the current structure of 7 and 8, would that mean that somebody could actually, since they're going to be the first to speak, they could speak for 10 minutes and then that would be it on their motion?
That was not the chair's intent.
But that's what the structure of 7 and 8 gives. We could strike from the word except to the end of that sentence. That would clear that possibility. But I'm open to, I just didn't think that was the intent, that we could shut it down.
No, that's not the intent, of course. How about if we just added on 7, subject to Rule 8? At the end of 7. Yes, Rachel.
Rachel Hooper, SD 13. I have a motion on number 8. A motion to amend, to add the word total after 10 minutes.
Second.
And then, I'm not done,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
And then to strike the words major rule and capitalize, so delete major rule. And capitalize amendments. Whoop.
Control Z.
So amendments and additions to rules 8, 44, and 46, and then add total after 30 minutes, so 30 minutes total.
So you're just being specific on which ones that applies to.
Right, because I was worried about major.
I was worried about that, but it was 3 in the morning or something.
I'll reassert my second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Rachel, when we get it on the screen, that Rachel, can you look at it and make sure that what's on the screen reflects what you said?
It does, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment to Rule 8?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Bruce Campbell, SD 24, point of information. Is it an aggregate 30 minutes for all 3 of those?
That was
Or is
not
it-
the intent of
Or is it 30 minutes each?
each. Is that an amendment to the amendment, or is that a friendly amendment?
I think it needs to maybe a friendly amendment to say each.
Individually? Will that work, Bruce? Okay. Got a friendly amendment to add after 30 minutes total individual. Is that okay, Bruce and Rachel? Okay, any further discussion on Rachel's amendment? Yes, sir.
May we hear the logic behind this change from the proposer?
I can speak on my
Sure. Go.
So Rachel Hooper, SD 13, the logic is previously it said major rules without major rules being defined. So then what would happen, I believe, is later on down the road, we'd be arguing over what's a major rule. So the intent of the author, Mr. Chairman, was for these 3 rules to be defined as major rules, and that's what this motion is doing.
And that's a very good explanation of the chair's intent. Yes. Okay, we're ready to vote on Rachel's amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Now we're back unless Dwayne's got an amendment.
So we never fixed the 10-minute issue, which was my original question, and I said we can fix it by striking from the word except.
Which rule are you on?
Number 8.
Okay.
The except no motion may be used more than 10 minutes. If you strike that all the way to the period, that fixes somebody filibustering for 10 minutes on their motion. To that sentence, yes. That's the quick and easy way to fix it. I'm open to suggestions otherwise, but
Well,
you know
that would
mean
take
unlimited.
away the time limit, though. And
well, true. I'm not trying to scuttle it. I just, basically, the way it is, somebody can make a motion and speak for 10 minutes, and that would be it.
Point of information,
Yes.
Sandy Kent, SD 18. If you do strike that, could you add then a sentence that states, total debate on the motion would not exceed 10 minutes?
I think it's the same problem.
However many, 2 or 3 or 4, exactly, but you, well, I don't know how to do that then.
I believe placing a time limit
Mr.
might
Chair, point of
be the only way.
information.
We're
Ronnie Jones, SD12.
Yes, Ronnie.
Are we in a motion right now to make any
We
amendment?
we're in a motion to adopt.
Has it been
the
seconded?
Committee rule. It has been seconded, yes. I'd rather hear y'all's thoughts, but I'll make a suggestion since I wrote these originally, is that if we said accept that no motion may use more than 10 minutes, not including the original authors first speaking. That handle Dwayne's concerns?
It's a fix. It's not 100%, but.
Rachel?
A friendly suggestion would be to add a sentence at the end saying no committee member may speak more than 5 minutes on a motion.
Right, except for the first sentence says will be allowed without limit. So we're contradicting ourselves. That's making me.
What contradicts it all?
Because everything's
The logic
contradicting
of it's
itself.
just not tracking.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Are we open for debate?
Yes, we need to be open for debate.
I'd like to suggest that the remedy's already in the rule. It says 10 minutes total unless extended by the committee. If someone was actually filibustering against the will of the committee, we have the instrument in this rule to remedy that. So I don't think this is a necessary amendment.
Mr. Chair, Ronnie Jones, 212. I'd like to make a friendly amendment to say debate on motions will be allowed speaking 3 for and 3 against. Or, no, I'm sorry. Debate on motions will be allowed speaking for 3 minutes, alternating between those for and those against a motion. Then no more than 10 minutes. So, and then we would still strike the accept portion of it.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, hang on a second. Is that a motion?
Yeah, I was making a motion for a friendly amendment, so I guess that would go back to
Parliamentary
I don't think I'll accept that as a friendly, but
That's also a major amendment.
Parliamentary inquiry?
well, so
David,
so
yes.
is the accept. So taking accept out, we're contradicting the rule.
Wait.
Saying without limit and then putting a 10-minute total on it.
Well, but the accept clause, that's commonly.
Mr. Chairman.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, I mean,
is there another way out of that, Ronnie?
Mr. Chairman.
I'm just trying to figure out a way out of the whole exception.
Committees in general should not limit debate.
Which what we're so we're not limiting debate in the first sentence, but then we're limiting debate.
I understand.
in the second,
I
third
understand.
sentence.
And that's the issue.
Can we strike it?
Mr. Chairman.
The whole rule?
Josh.
Josh Flynn, SD 15. I move to strike Rule 8. We are a good committee. We can figure out when we're done, and we'll just sit there and call the question.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we strike Rule 8 in its entirety. David?
I have a parliamentary inquiry. Does rule number 17 on debate in the RPT general rules not apply to us? Because if it does, it settles this whole question.
You have that one?
Yes, sir. Main motions, no delegate shall speak more than 5 minutes on a main motion without the general consent of the convention, nor shall any delegate speak more than once on the same motion without general consent. Amendments and secondary motions, no delegate shall speak more than 3 minutes on any amendment or debatable motion subsequently made while the motion is pending or without the general consent, nor shall a delegate speak more than once on the same motion without general consent. Committee reports, I'm just saying.
It's not applicable.
That's for conventions. We're a committee of the convention.
Right.
Yes, Kathy?
Point of personal privilege for the blind. Is there a way to make that just a little bit bigger for us over here? Take control and scroll up. Thank you.
God bless you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we strike Rule 8 entirely. Any discussion on Josh's amendment?
Do you have a second?
Yes, we have a second. I believe it was Dwayne. Yes, Randy?
Around letting SD at 2, I keep wanting to say 16, that was a lot of years. SD2, I don't see why we need to strike this. I think the rule is well formed. I think it has sufficient remedies for both expediency and for suppressing any attempts to use filibuster. So I would oppose this amendment to strike the rule.
Any other discussion? Yeah,
No,
Josh?
no. This is talking about each individual motion. So we can sit there and beat up something over and over again just to forego this 10-minute rule. So we can continue to just add another amendment just so we can debate the same thing. There's no reason for this. This committee, like I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years. We can decide when we're done debating. We have the authority, we have the ability to call the question. I've never seen it go out of control in this committee. I've seen it go out of control in some other committees, but not here. We always know when the debate is done.
Thank you, Josh. And actually, the chair's experience has been in other committees where it has been abused. So, okay, everybody ready to vote on Josh's amendment to strike 8? Another hand up somewhere?
Thank you. Suzanne Guggenheim, SD 27. I think we should not strike this rule. When I see how much time it took us to discuss just this little rule, I can imagine what it can take us to take a major rule. So I think it's important if we want to move the convention debates to have a time limit. Thank you.
I believe there's somebody else on the back.
No, he was raised.
No? Okay.
I'd like to speak for the amendment. When we're doing the rules, if logic doesn't track in a rule, then it's open for interpretation and things just start going wildly offline. So to me, this rule is just flawed. If we want to put another rule in that's better to start from scratch or whatever, that's something that we can decide on. But this rule just doesn't logically track. I would rather start from scratch and do another one than to continue trying to beat this one. And I think striking it and leaning on the fact that people are collegial and we've worked through this kind of stuff before in highly contentious situations. So.
I'm highly in favor of the collegial environment personally. Anybody else on Rule 8? We can, of course, if it doesn't work out, we can re-examine these rules with a majority vote. So, including Rule 8 if this doesn't get struck on this vote. Everybody ready to vote? The vote is, oh wait. We're voting on striking Rule 8 in its entirety. Okay, all in favor of striking Rule 8 in its entirety, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
I think the ayes had it. Yes. Can you just do a strikeout on it now so the numbering stays
Should get the last two words.
Okay, are there any other discussion
Mr. Chair.
on the main motion? Yes, ma'am.
SD 21, Kathy Hagler. So the only mention we had of friendly amendments being permitted was in Rule 8. Do you want to reestablish
Oh,
that?
my goodness.
Or do we want to just make that the new Rule 8, just that last sentence, leaving just that one last sentence, friendly amendments are permitted? I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, the motion is to put back into the place of Rule 8 just the last sentence of Rule 8 originally, that friendly amendments are permitted. Is that correct? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? David didn't even oppose that one.
And our numbering problem is solved.
And our numbering problem is solved. Thank you. Okay, we're back on the main motion, I believe. Any further discussion? Yes, Leslie.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair. I have been told that my voice has that range where hearing aids don't pick up, so I try to use the mic.
What'd you say?
Mr. Chair, I move, Leslie Thomas, SD 22. I move that we insert under Rule 6, under Rule 5, a new Rule 6, which shall read, Major Rules 8, 44, 46 shall be voted on time certain Wednesday at 4 p.m. Testimony for major rules shall be allowed on Wednesday before this time, and the testimony times shall be posted on the door.
Somebody seconded it. Who was it? Kathy seconded it.
Yes. Not that a committee would ever do that.
I'm advised while they're getting that up there that the internet is working now. There's one other note I was asked to pass along, and that is that a longtime convention goer, Mallory Miller, some of y'all may know him, that he passed away this morning. Oh, as to the question on where the stream is, I believe David asked that earlier. What I was told at the break is that if somebody goes to YouTube and they Google RPT Rules Committee, that's actually where the stream is, that it's also the same YouTube stream embedded on the website right now, but I'm not advised of where that is.
Mr. Chair, point of information, Mac Duncan, SD3. Did the chair say earlier that these three will be addressed first?
Correct.
And they will be voted on?
Correct.
Why are we waiting till Wednesday?
I believe.
I'm a new guy. This is my first time on the committee, so I'm trying to learn.
I believe the intent, correct me if I'm wrong, Leslie, is that on Wednesday there'll be delegate testifying, and she wants to make sure we can reopen those rules even if we pass it on today, later today.
In light of additional testimony?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we could make tweaks to it doing something like this. But I would personally rather us go ahead and finally vote, not have a rule like this, and then if it was a committee desire on Wednesday to reopen a particular already done thing, we don't really know what our schedule will be on Wednesday, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Mr. Chair, could we have the author speak to her amendment, please?
Yes, of course. Leslie?
So many of the delegates, traditionally, the Rules Committee always starts with Rule 1 and they work through. And they know that this committee will be handling 44 and possibly 46 on Wednesday. So they make their way up here on Wednesday. It's a ton of people that do this, and they've been doing this convention after convention. So all I'm saying is go ahead and collaborate now, but allow them a chance to testify on Wednesday before we have a vote on it. I'm saying vote on it after we have their testimony, because to vote on something and then call and re-vote on it, it's just a procedural, it's just messy. So we'll vote on it, then we'll table it to a certain time, which already is in the rules, Wednesday at 4 p.m. We'll have the testimony, they can testify, and then we can vote. And I think that is a rule more for the delegates. It would be easier for us to just knock it out now and not deal with it, but for the delegates, they would really appreciate us to hear them before we vote.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Snyder, SD9. We have a procedure which we can reopen, and I think that for us to initially decide that we were going to take these important issues up now, based upon what your rationale was earlier, so that we can get to the ones that are important, I think is important. But then to delay the vote, I think, is problematic. I think we need to take our vote, and then if we have testimony and people want to make a change to what we have voted on, then we can take a vote to reopen and then do that. I think that I would vote against this particular amendment because I just think it's superfluous to our process. And it also stops us from the normal process of what we've already decided to do, or what I think the committee is going to decide to do, which is to take up these important issues first and vote on them, and then progress through the rest. There is an opportunity based upon our own schedule for early testimony. If somebody wants to come and testify and they're watching the stream, they can get here in time to go testify before the vote is taken. Otherwise, I think that we're upsetting the apple cart here without provocation. And in my particular opinion, I think that we need to vote against this amendment.
Kristen Bentley, SD1. I speak in opposition. It's way too prescriptive, I think, of our schedule. Delegates have ample opportunity to come down and share their opinion, their testimony. They can email any of us who are representing them on this committee and share their opinion in that way. There are a lot of issues that are important to delegates that are outside the three major ones that we're going to discuss. As soon as we can vote on those, the better it is for us to achieve more and get more done and address all of the delegates' concerns and go through that list. And there's a remedy to bringing it up again, and so I'm opposed to the amendment.
Thank you. And I would point out that that remedy has been reduced to a majority vote, not a 2/3 vote. So it's a readily available remedy if we have to even do it. Yes, Rachel and then Dwayne.
Rachel Hooper, SD13. I am respectfully against this amendment because we're here to work. And it's on the website. Everybody, we have people here who are ready and willing to testify if need be. We're here to work. Let's get to work.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you. Dwayne?
Dwayne Wright, SD5. As someone who had to fill up my generator from my house to get power and go through 4 foot of water to get here, some of my other delegates were not able to do so. And I am in support of her amendment because the power of the convention is in the delegates, not in the committees. And the fact that the delegates can come and they can be part of this process with us. I mean, we have other rules committees. We have SREC Rules Committee that does their thing. The power of the convention is the delegates, and the delegates should be able to weigh in on this. And not everybody has internet right now. Not everybody has access right now. We've seen our struggle just trying to find a link on the website. I have delegates calling me right now. How can I see what's going on? All these things. I'm in support of her.
Tim, and then we'll close on this.
Tim Lambert, SD28. I too respectfully oppose this motion. One of the things we just did recently is we said we're going to do roll call votes. I expect there'll be a roll call vote on these issues. We're going to post those. So we go back to our SD meetings. We're going to have a vote. Our delegates will know how we voted on that. And if there is no vote, then they have nothing to go on other than what people say. So I think I agree that we ought to have this, and we have a majority vote. If the committee meets again, we can take that vote up.
Yeah, and I would add to that that we will have another vote on anything that comes out of temporary committee in permanent committee, and I'm sure there will be lots of opinions on these three in particular. And then last, to the delegates, they get final approval on Friday morning. That's right. Regardless of what we do. So, okay, let's take a vote on Leslie's addition. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Nay. I think the nays have it on that one. Okay, just line it out. Okay, we're back to the main motion, and we've already spent a lot more time on this than I thought we were going to, but yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Chuck Burnett, ST20.
To help out the grassroots, some of the concerns that were just voiced, could we put this perhaps on our RPT website as soon as possible, make everybody aware of this order and how we're doing things so they have as many opportunities as possible?
I think that can be arranged, and y'all are free to send it to your delegation and people back home as well. Yeah, good idea. Yes, sir.
Quick question, Mr. Chairman. Are we going to receive testimony, as we're considering the main motion now, receive testimony from delegates regarding these three main rules before taking any vote? I mean, that's just my question.
We'll see how the time works out, but yes, that would be the intent.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, ready for a vote on the committee rules as amended? All in favor of the committee rules as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, members. The committee rules passed. And remember, we can readdress them with minimal effort at this point. It's now 2 o'clock. Several people are saying they need a lunch break. I would propose that we have a 1-hour lunch break and we come back, and unlike our 15-minute break that turned into 25, I would hope that we stick to a 1-hour lunch break. Before we do, Kathy.
Can you email the new version out to us, please?
Yes, we'll do that during the lunch break. Yes.
Is it safe to leave our stuff here, our laptops and stuff?
I would
us.
not take responsibility for that, but there will probably be somebody in the room at all times.
Huh?
Okay, we stand recessed for lunch to resume at 3 o'clock sharp. 3 o'clock.